inviting me to present on the webinar. Just to say a few words about myself. My name is Jan Prosiński. I'm from Poland. I work on a few fields of cinematography, directing, and commercials, and reportages, and in photography. I smiled when I saw a picture which you shared from Sound in the Silence project. Thank you for sharing this picture. This was my first contact with Ian Arias when Justyna Rzykiewicz invited me to the project several years, and I have a very big sentiment for the project. We just wrapped it a few days ago, another amazing edition, and I encourage you to know more about the project. It's really fascinating. I have prepared several photographs for you, and it's a very subjective point of view. It's the way I see some list of photographs from the World War II. I would say again, it's very subjective. I'm sure each and every one of us would pick another list of photographs. I would like to start from a quote from Olga Tokarczuk, the famous Polish writer and Nobel Prize winner. During her Nobel speech, she said, "The world is made of words. Something that is not told ceases to exist and dies. How we think about the world, and perhaps more importantly, how we tell it, is therefore of enormous importance." I believe she had words in mind. Nevertheless, we can tell and share stories in several ways. For several centuries, also visual arts have served us, among other things, for decorative purposes, but communication as well, and telling a story. Painting by famous painters move us and provoke us, invite us to feel several emotions. The images also can try to record some reality. We sometimes say a picture is worth 1,000 words. During today's meeting, I would like to share my perspective on several selected photographs for the World War II period, with slightly broader context of few works of art and few photographs which were taken before World War II. I would like to underline one thing. I believe many of you might be historians, scientists. This is not an intention of constructing a historical narrative. This is a list of photographs chosen by me, a photographer, a cameraman, with my certain fragility. As I said, each and every one of us would probably pick another pictures. I would like to start this presentation from the picture from Las Cobrots in France, which I always look at with a big sentiment because it shows a need of a human to tell a story with an image. Looking back at art history, we can say that humans always wanted to tell a story of important events, and this hunting event might have been very important for the people of the era. And I also find it quite modern because it might have been a quite spontaneous desire to tell a story, just like today when we post our pictures on Instagram. The war, as one of the key events, has always been present in visual art as well. At the beginning, the war was depicted in paintings. We have three examples of famous paintings, one by Francisco Goya, the other by Pablo Picasso, and third by Polish painter Wróblewski. And again, each and every one of us would probably pick another images. These three visual stories are an extremely strong voice for me of telling a story about horror of war. And soon when photography was invented, we humans started to use it to tell stories also about war. This is a picture of American troops in Mexico in 1847 and is believed to be the first war photographed at all. We don't know the photographer. And this is a time when photography was being recorded, registered, and how to express this on glass plates. So it was a very difficult process, which needed time, which needed a studio on site. We can see a mobile studio of Roger Fenton, who photographed the Crimean War in 1855, and photographs taken by him. These are the photographs of Civil War in Gettysburg, created by Alexander Gardner. And there are two reasons I want to show them. First of all, these are an amazing, and we might say beautiful photographs. But there is a very important aspect. The two pictures show the same man. And the author of the photography, or the people who helped him to create the photographies, dragged the body and placed him in a different position because of the composition of the context. We might think that in these years, photography was rather created in studios, and war photographers, the first war photographers, needed to take huge camera with themselves. So, because of the difficulties of creating photography, someone might have had such an idea. Today, we would say that this is a faked photograph or a staged photograph. But as we're gonna discover in next minutes, we were staging photographs also during World War II. Just a glimpse on the cameras below. Obviously, you see a wet plate camera, which was being used in the 19th century. But above, you see two famous cameras, a Leica 3A and a Contax 2. And the big part of the pictures that we're gonna see together were created with those two cameras. And which is probably obvious for you, cameras today are probably the same size. It has revolutionized the photography because the cameras like Contax or Leica could be put in a pocket of a jacket. They were very small. You could bring them everywhere and therefore photograph everything. I have prepared a few photos from World War II, and I would like to invite you to reflect on them, to think whether are these photos are good photos. Do they tell a story? Do they evoke emotions in you? And what is very important for me, do they leave us with questions or answers? And I believe each and every one of us would share different opinions and yeah, answers on that. Mostly I will show single photos that synthetically tell a story. However, these photos are very often parts of a bigger reportage. I'm going to also show the photographs of a famous D-Day photographer, Robert Capa, and a contact sheet, something you might know. It's a print of whole negative, and it used to be a very convenient method to choose a best photograph. So sometimes a photographer would choose few photographs to create a wider story, but sometimes as in the photographs we're gonna discuss today, usually it was one picture chosen, and these are the iconic pictures. I also encourage you to have a look at the album, Magnum Contact Sheets. It gives a great perspective on the aspect of choosing a right picture. And this is something we're gonna discuss at the very end of this presentation. I would like to begin the World War II part with the picture with a very tragic context, especially for me and maybe also from some of you. This is a picture depicting German troops invading Poland on 1st September 1939. The caption says that the author of the picture was Hans Sonke or Heinrich Hoffmann. I'm not sure. There were several people with cameras on the site, the cameramen and the photographers. I would like to say a few words about the picture. You see a group of people breach the border. You see a Polish coat of arms. You see German troops in uniforms. You see their faces and their smiles, which is some kind of contrast. A dramatic event, but people are smiling. There is a spirit of brotherhood on the picture. There is a question why so many people lift the barrier. Are they all necessary? Or maybe they just want to be in a photo. Like when we are on vacation and you say, wait for me, I want to be in a photo as well. This is very tragic for me as well. I think a picture says 1,000 words indeed. And the truth about this photograph is that it's a stage photograph. Even the barrier was sewn before, so the soldiers would be able to break it on the picture. So we begin the story with a very propaganda picture, and some of the photographs which we're going to discuss during this webinar are the propaganda photography. And this aspect, I think, raises several questions for us to discuss. An important detail is that this photograph was also taken by a Leica camera. A photographer used a Leica camera, which is going to be relevant for the rest of our story. I would like to quote the famous French photographer Henri Cartier-Bresson. For me, photography is the simultaneous recognition in a split second of both the significance of an event and the precise organization of forms that give it proper expression. And we might say, and it's a tragedy, this picture is such a picture. It tells a story, totally. On the next two pictures, we have, on the next slide, we have two pictures which are distant geographically. The first one is shot in Warsaw in 1944, and the other one in Hawaii in Pearl Harbor in 1941. You can see the obvious similarities. These are the pictures of bombardment. But what is important for me is the very emotional aspect. It's those two pictures are about breaking the spirit. The first picture shows the building of Prudential, which was later rebuilt, and still the building is in the city center of Warsaw. And hitting the building was breaking the spirit because it was the highest building in Warsaw. It has a Polish flag on the top. So it was idea of the German troops to break the spirit. And we can also say it about the other photograph, a bombing of Pearl Harbor, which was a shock for Americans and also was a way of breaking a spirit. However, it was very important. After that, Americans joined the war. What is very important for me that in those two pictures, the photographers were in the eye of the storm. They were in the very center of the action, risking their lives and catching the exact moment, to follow the quote by Henri Cartier-Bresson. Next three pictures, and there is also some geographical distance. The first two are made in Warsaw. The first one in 1944, the second one in 1939, and the third photograph from Shanghai from 1937, as civilian casualties of bombing. I don't know if I told you, I live in Warsaw and I feel this is my city, so that's why we're gonna have some photographs from Warsaw. The first picture is especially meaningful for me. You can see the three silhouettes and a dog, and the people's behavior on the photograph might suggest that, you know, they walk during some very bad weather, rainy or windy weather. If we didn't see what's happening around, the city is demolished. It's just after a bombing. However, you can see the emotions of the dog.
Jacek, could you make a next slide, because they will be bigger than
Yeah, sure.
that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ula. You can see the dog is pulling the leash, that it's panicking, that it might be terrified because of the fire and sound of the bombs. When I look at this picture, I wonder, will the people in the picture will survive? Will the dog will survive? Will no one eat the dog? Because it was common to kill and eat dogs because of lack of food. During the interviews I have shot for Museum Warsaw Rising several times, I was asked by the old people a question: what would you take from home if you were forced to leave your home? And when I look at this picture, I can see that the people took the dog. Maybe a most human gesture in a most tragic situation. The other picture is made in 1939 by American journalist Julian Bryan. A girl is crying over the body of her older sister after bombing of Warsaw. Does the girl understand the war? I don't know. What was the decision of a photographer? He creates a documentation, a testimony. However, he crosses the line of the lens, and somehow he needs to act like a human, and he needs to hug a girl. I think this demonstrates a human empathy for the girl. Decades later, Kazimiera Mika, the girl on the photograph, meets with Brian. It could be said that the photo will forever link their fates. The photo becomes a symbol of tragedy of Warsaw in 1939, but it also a symbol of humanism and empathy. And the third photograph, made in Shanghai, a photo for which Japanese wanted to kill the photographer. There was a fine of $50,000 for the photographer to be killed because of creating this photo. The photo shows aftermath of the Shanghai bombing by Japanese planes. I think the comment on the photo is not necessary. We all see what's going on. I saw things that I didn't photograph because I thought they were too scary, and now I regret it. These are the words of Eugeniusz Hahnemann, one of the Warsaw Rising photographers and insurgent himself. Next, I would like to tell about those three pictures. The conflict, the invasion of Normandy on D-Day was photographed by several photographers. You have the first photograph by Robert F. Sargent, and The title of the photo is Into the Jaws of Death. You might be very familiar with the photograph, not only because of the photograph itself. The very exact frame was then used by Steven Spielberg and Janusz Kaminski, his cinematographer, to depict a landing in Normandy scene in the beginning of the Saving Private Ryan film. Creators were inspired by several photographers. The photograph by Walter Rosenblum of a man who just drawn from water his colleague. And Robert Capa, one of the most famous photographer probably of all time. Only 11 photographs survived. Capa created 4 rolls of film during that event. Everyone knew that he's a very known and good photographer. They were in a big rush to develop the films. And because of a mistake during the development, a mistake made by a person from a laboratory, almost all pictures were lost. Only 11 left, and they are called Magnificent 11. This is also a picture from Magnum contact sheets, as I mentioned before. You can see that those pictures are grainy, blurry, not exactly sharp. You could speak about several, let's call it problems with those pictures. However, I think this is one of the best examples of war and reportage photography. The graininess, the blurriness, the chaos on the photography shows the condition of a photographer as well. He was one of the soldiers. He also had to get to the beach. He was risking his life. The condition of the pictures still helps to tell a story. I think this series is a milestone in war photography and in reportage photography. There is a quote by Robert Capa: "If your pictures aren't good enough, you're not close enough." Several years later, after World War II, he got killed because he stepped on a mine. So we might say he has foreseen his death, following the best images. Now I would like to return to Warsaw. It's 1943, liquidation of Warsaw Ghetto. Two photographs seen with the eyes of perpetrators. Two pictures which became a symbol of Holocaust. These two photos depict crimes against civilians and one of the biggest tragedies of 20th century. When I look at these pictures, I wonder what was thinking the person who took the photographs. Did the person have any conscience? Did the person consider crossing the line of the lens, as Julian Bryan, who felt a need to hug a girl? These are rhetorical questions. I think the answers, we can try to guess the answers for those questions. A cruel paradox is that thanks to the perpetrators' diligence, we have these photos. They are an evidence of a massacre. Many years after the war, a man from the picture with a boy, a man aiming a gun at the boy, was discovered. He was tried and he was sentenced to death. These are also three pictures from Warsaw Rising. First one by Łódź shows burning of Pasta building, the one that was conquered by insurgents. One of the, we could say, brightest moments of Warsaw Rising. Strokes of light in a very dark moments of Warsaw history. Another picture of Łódź with a cat. I don't know the author. Probably Łódź passed the camera to someone who was closest to him. And also is very touching for me. That's in the terms of war, in the terms of tragedy, it can be very human and grab an animal and also find some comfort. And one of most famous and symbolic pictures of Eugeniusz Hahnemann, who I quoted before. This is interesting because two photographers create a very similar photo. Hahnemann and Brock and Brown. And this is also about staging photography. Those photographs are staged. But still, there are the symbols of a certain period in Polish history. Is staging a photo a manipulation? Can a photographer stage a documentary photo? If when taking a photo, I ask the subject to move slightly, to get into the light for the better effect, did I manipulate the photo? And I think this is a question or a matter in many more war photographs or other documentary photographs as well. Still, by choosing a certain point and a certain moment of taking a photograph, we make a decision about a certain point of view. And two pictures that I'm sure you all are very aware of. First, shot by Joe Rosenthal in Iwo Jima, and the second by Evgeny Kaldey, the Soviet soldier in Reisach in Berlin. Two iconic photos. The first one was believed to be a stage photo, which is finally not true. However, the photographer took a photograph of raising of the second flag. Some commander demanded to put a bigger flag so everyone can see it. You can have a look at a certain detail that the horizon of the photograph is not in place. It also shows some emotions of the photographer. It shows some kind of emotions and fatigue of the soldier himself who was taking a picture. The other photograph has an interesting story, which you might know. It was being edited, as we would say today, in post-production. One of the soldiers had two watches on his wrists. The Soviet propaganda decided to edit the photo to conceal a fact that Soviet soldiers were robbing everything and everyone on their way. The famous photograph of Rosenthal was later depicted in a monument which is in Washington. And the last photograph, which was shot in New York on the day of victory of USA over Japan. The photographer Albert Eisenstadt. Also, several photos were created on this day, so you can find some other versions of this photograph created by other photographers. there is a certain loop about this photograph, and the first one I showed from the World War II, the Germans crossing the Polish border. The very same model of camera was used. And by the way, Alfred Eisenstadt was born in Poland, in Tczew, which is 50 kilometers from Sopot, where the Germans crossing of the Polish border picture was taken. This was all about history, but I know that we also wanted to talk about the key issues, the key ideas, the key methods of telling a story in photography. I'm gonna show you some quotes. Part of them I used in this presentation, and two key things, which in my opinion help to tell a story. It's also a matter of perspective, because not of them will be totally true if we look at the propaganda photography, for example. I think the first thing is awareness of the subject matter, the story. If you create a photography or a series of photographs or a reportage, or maybe some of you would like to work with your students to give them some kind of assignment or to create an assignment with them. I think this would be the first thing, and this is something I apply to my work, of course, on civil ground. Awareness of the subject, to know what am I talking about, what is the story, what is the picture about. Second very important thing, not to harm the subject of the photos. And I think this is extremely up to date in modern days when we have the social media, where we have advanced methods of post-production of photography, so we can fake a photograph. We can see several examples every day of photography being used in a very bad manner. I think this is extremely important, not to be a vulture, not to chase without paying respect for a person who is in front of the lens. Plan how you want to tell the story. Try to have it in your imagination. Think of the viewer. Think how one will watch your story, how someone will look at your story. Don't make too many photos. Take them with the awareness of the need for choice. If you're gonna take 1,000 photographs, you're gonna look through 1,000 photographs. Pick the best ones and do some editing and post-production. It takes time. Be aware of the viewer perspective. I don't mean to take pictures just to satisfy some people. However, be aware that we have a certain, I don't know, span. We can look several. We can see several images one by one. And I personally would prefer to see a 10-image reportage than a 100-image reportage or a 1,000-image reportage, because it's hard to stand. Arrange your photos if possible. So give them a certain order. It affects the way the story will be read by the viewer. Vary the size of the shots, which is a very universal thing also in filmmaking and in photography. Try to make wide shots, try to make details, try to make a portrait. Vary the size of the shots, avoid creating only medium shots, because they're hard to watch in bigger numbers. At the end, I would like to quote two Polish persons. One is Kazimierz Karabasz, a famous Polish documentary director. He said something like this: every morning, the names of 15 people should be read on the radio from the phone book. The point is for them to have at least the small satisfaction of being noticed by someone, to do them justice in this way. How? The simplest way is to show them respect. And how can our respect be expressed when we have a camera and a microphone? In a caring, friendly, sympathetic look at human life, at their existence. And another one, a short one from very famous Polish photographer who passed away a few months ago. In photography, one should avoid banality and obviousness. There must also be mystery in photography. And it's some kind of a contradiction at the end. When we speak about war photography or reportage photography, we wanna tell the whole story, so no one undermines the story. So no one can tell at the end, well, this actually never took place. It never happened. So we need to be very precise, but as a contradiction, following the words of Tadeusz Rolke, there must also be some kind of mystery in photography. The same director, Kazimierz Karabasz, which I quoted a while ago, also used to say that after watching a documentary, a viewer should have some questions, should feel some will inside him to dwell into the story and to seek for information on his own. So it's a balance between being precise, strict, honest, but still leaving some mystery in the image. So the image is interesting and people want to watch the image. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jan. It was like very inspiring, and I don't know where to start. You know, because you highlighted like a really good variety of topics, and also I liked a lot the quotes. And for example, I imagine that you can you the teachers, you can, for example, print the quotes, cut them, and I don't know, display in the room and ask students to approach the quote which seems, you know, the most meaningful for them, for example, to you know, to dig deeper into it. Okay, so maybe you can stop sharing now and then turn on your like Zoom camera, because I turned it off. So just try to turn it on, and I'm thinking whether it would. It's turned off now, your camera, so maybe try to ask to start video. Oh yeah,
I'm here.
Maybe speaker. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay, we already got one question on chat, so we can open it up. Chat. Thank you, Katarina, for asking. There is a question: have you ever given up a shoot, like decided not to take a picture that you think would have been great, powerful, out of respect? That's a question. You can maybe, let's put it like the side for a second, and like we invite you to ask questions on chat because we still got 30 minutes. I would like to maybe start with like one of the questions which was for me like really striking, because we've seen now a lot of photos, and we all got them in mind now, the photos from the Warsaw Rising, from raising the flag, and they were like, and also Kappa photos, which are, like you said, that they were distorted, and that's what they are all about. And they might seem, for students which have like iPhones, they might seem like, I don't know, old-fashioned, you know, made in a like old technology. And I was wondering, do you maybe, so like photography changed like beyond recognition over 80 years? And do you think that there are like things which a photographer in 2025 can learn from a photographer from 1945?
Well, I think it's so extremely to compare
Yeah.
photography, which are divided by a distance of 80 years. But you know, when I look at those photos which I shared with you, and recently while preparing for this webinar, I saw a huge amount of World War II photography, and several pictures really touched me. I also know that, for example, pictures which were taken during Warsaw Rising were created with certain equipment, with low-speed films, in a town which was in a horror of war. So it's hard to judge. I may be only respectful for the creators of photographs, and I think for their values, because maybe this is something we can learn and, well, hopefully adapt. And I know that we could undermine this. We have several conflicts in the world now. We have conflict in Ukraine, Gaza, Sudan, where civilians are being killed. So also this is a question. Still, we having those photographs for World War II. What do we do with it as a humanity? And do these photographs change something? But I'm impressed by the willingness of the creators of those photographs to change something, to tell a story, to give testimony. And I think we should take this as an example. And it's not important when the picture, in how ancient time was it taken.
Yeah.
It's very universal, I think, and very up to date.
There's this like intention to do something with that photograph.
And still, I think those set of rules. So to be the thing I mentioned, to have a clear intention, I think.
Yeah.
Why do I take a picture?
Yeah, about the clear intention. You talk also a lot about ethics, and there is this question from Katarina about giving up to take a photo. And do you've got like a situation like that in mind, that you were aiming to take a photo and you were like, oh, maybe not?
These are as I said, I have never been in tragic circumstances taking photography. However, I encountered situations, I don't know, on the street, where someone, when I see that someone is not extremely happy that I'm taking a picture, then I'm not taking a picture. But there is something like this, that that you take a picture of a person who you don't know, and you can look into the eyes, you can smile, you can try to draw line of connection, and if you have this line of connection, you might try to take a photo. But when you see that someone doesn't want to the photo of him to be taken, you don't take a photo. So this is one experience. And maybe I will say about other experience. You posted a photo from Sound and Silence project. So the project takes like 9 days. And when I arrive with other participants, they are aware that the pictures and the video by my colleague will be taken. But still, there is some period of time when I need to observe people and see how comfortable they see with me taking photographs. So this is some kind of encountering, and also respecting them, and working in such a manner that they feel comfortable, and and somehow letting them know that I'm not going to harm them. Then they can watch the photos, and posts on social media, and they see that I'm not harming them. And this is, I think, something very important.
Yeah, so it's about the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought also, yeah, I had a question, how do propaganda photographs differ from those which are taken spontaneously? And also Anya asked a question, how do you recognize if a photo was staged? Because we've got like a lot of cases in your presentation of the propaganda photos. And for example, for me as Polish, it strike me with this photo of taking the barrier, like the Polish eagle, and the barrier. It's very well known photo, and yeah, and like I think I never think about it that it's staged, that it was like that there are too many people on that photo, because it doesn't take like 10 people to take a barrier which is not really heavy. So I think that it's also like part of this, like part of teachers' work to work with critical thinking of students, and to encourage them to trace this like propaganda features. So yeah, and you can go on, how do propaganda photographs differ from the spontaneously taken, or how to recognize a staged photograph?
When I was preparing for the webinar, and running through pictures from all over the world, I saw a picture of a young man, or one might say a grown boy, on Ukrainian front, sleeping in a trench with a cat. But I couldn't. First, I couldn't. Get the provenance of the photograph. I didn't know the author and the place it was taken. And the other thing, because it's a digital photograph with a flashlight, which is, when you hit with light from the camera, the picture becomes very crisp, like unreal in some way. And I was not sure whether it's not an AI photograph. So I didn't share this photograph with you because I was not sure about the technology of creating the photograph, whether it is a photograph or it's an AI. And the different subject is staging a photo or creating a photo for a photograph. And I think our judgment of propaganda photography depends on whether it's our propaganda or theirs propaganda. So when I look at a picture taken by Hahnemann in the ruins of Warsaw, I know from the history that this photograph is staged. Maybe it was shot a very short while after the actual event. I don't know. However, it's a symbol for me, and it touches me deeply. It's like a story of the Warsaw Rising for me, but it's a stage photo, and we might say it's some kind of propaganda. And when I see a propaganda photography made by Germans during breaking the barrier on Polish border, I don't know, I get frustrated and sad and angry. So I also feel several emotions. So ironically, I will say that those pictures do their job, but it's an irony, of course. I think that the difference between stage photo and a made, on a glance, is that the stage photo has a system beyond. I don't know, maybe this is the right expression, that there is a plan to create some kind of message to gain something. And I don't know, political terms or historical terms or personal terms. But when we suddenly jump to Instagram, what is Instagram? It's, it's a story about myself. The feed on Instagram is very often about a person whose account this is, and it's creating for some profit, or I don't know, social profit, for example. And the photographs on Instagram also might be staged.
Mhm.
This is very often topic that this is an ideal world in a small window of a mobile phone, but this is not a true a documentary photography. And up to today, we have discussions about several pictures and whether they are staged or not. Robert Capa created a famous photograph of a falling soldier during a conflict in Spain. And up to date, people discuss whether the picture is staged or not. The picture of a napalm girl, maybe some of you know the picture created, shot in Vietnam, a one that it's said has changed a course of history. I know that a year or 2 years ago, a discussion has been raised. Who is the photographer of the picture? So not whether it is staged, but who is a photographer. So as I said before, it would be great if we had mysteries in photography. However, not such kind of mysteries. It would be good to know whether the photograph is staged or is it a part of a propaganda or no. I also, and I think that we are all aware of this. It's important that we are aware. It's important that we use our critical thinking, and this not concern only the students and young people. It concerns us as well. During war in Ukraine, we could heard several informations by Russian propaganda that photographs in Ukraine were staged. For example, pictures from Bucha.
Yeah.
So I think, I know that answer is very general, but it's so wide topic, and I'm sure always worth of a discussion.
Yeah, thank you. So many, so many things to ask for. Maybe I'll stick with maybe let's move a little bit to nowadays as a last question, because you mentioned like AI and Instagram, and I know that we are just like teachers, they work with students, so having like in mind reality in which students live. And we talked before this webinar that, you know, everything which is on social media, it's like Insta, like in Instagram. So it's like it happens now. It's an impression, it's a relation. So it's something very, very quick and taking place right now without the context. That's what it is about, that there is no context. It's sometimes there's only a photo and you need to build up on that. And then on the other side, you've got like a storytelling, which is about the context, which is about thinking about the narrative you're gonna create through your photographs. And yeah, and I would maybe the question is, how would you comment on that, on the fact that like having like a lot of photos taken in a very short time, how it led us to create like a narratives for the photographs we are taking.
I think that Instagram, for example, is just a tool. And for instance, I love using Instagram to seek for inspiration, because I watch a lot of photography or paintings on Instagram. So maybe it's a matter of choosing how we would like to use it. You know, we have on social media all these short video forms, and nowadays those reels are like, I don't know, 3-5 seconds long, 10, because it's said that no one is able to see a longer video. By the way, I think watching those is a very dangerous habit. It's totally, of course, it's a totally different subject of habits connected to social media. But from the other hand, on one side we have those short reels, but we have I recognize that we have more and more podcasts, very long forms, like an hour long, 2 hour long, 3 hour long, which have a big audience. So there are like two groups which move apart, and several people in the internet want to find like interesting and valuable information, text, and images. So I think that you can use Instagram. I don't know, like or Facebook. I don't know. I don't use TikTok or other media, but it's a tool, and it's you can create a storytelling on Instagram as well. And I believe that it's about finding people or connecting to people who are interesting in viewing the history and creating some exchange
Yeah.
in storytelling or picture making, painting or photography. So
Yeah.
it's our choice how we use the modern media, the social
Yeah.
media, or other platforms or ways of communicating with the image.
Yeah. Thank you, Jan. We need to close it up, even though we've got other questions. I will give you also the floor at the very end, you know, to like wrap up, to have a short comment, maybe at the
Okay.
very end. And I'll give the floor to Anya now, okay? Because
Okay. Thank you.
thanks. We've got still 15 minutes.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Yannick, for the beautiful presentation and the very interesting pictures that you've shown. My presentation will introduce a little bit of color. I hope you don't mind me saying that, Yannick. I'm going to start with a bright orange picture, a photo that shows our project that took place in Görlitz and in Zgorzelec on the Polish-German border side this August. This project was about borders, but it was also about photography. That's why I am here. I believe you can see my screen.
Yeah, but you can start. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, great. So the theme of the project was landscapes as heritage.
Yeah.
But okay, it broke or not? Can you see my
It broke,
presentation?
it broke.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll try again, or maybe Ula, can you try showing the presentation instead?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you. The main theme of the project was landscape as heritage, but our participants, which were educators and teachers and professionals within the heritage industry, were asked to look at landscapes through the lens of photography, oral history, and border landscape studies. They had lectures, border walks around the cities, walks with the historical tours, but also walks with locals to learn more about the life in the cities. And they were asked to take photographies along the borders. Thank you, Ula. The result of the project were a few new articles that you can find on High Story Lessons, as well as the lesson scenarios that the participants themselves created, also on photography, that they will be posted on High Story soon as well. We invite you to have a look at it, and we also invite you to sign up to the newsletter so that you can see if there is another summer school or winter school organized for you. But apart from the lesson scenarios and the articles that were made by educators for educators, were also the pictures taken by the participants. And before I tell you what we've done with the pictures, I wanted to pose the question to you. What do you do with photographies in your lessons, in your classrooms? How do you use them? If you could write in chat, that would be very helpful for us as well, to steal your ideas for future projects. But what we've created from the pictures taken by the participants were educational postcards. And these postcards have the picture of the taken by the participants in the front, and in the back there's a question that the participants worked on as well that is related to the theme of borders. We asked the participants to think of borders not only as administrative dividers, but also in a more abstract way, as dividers of social class, or dividers in art, or in economics. So this is an example of a picture taken by one of our participants. We were working a lot with photographs during the summer school, and I wanted to show you a few examples of what we've done. And the first thing I would like to say is to invite you to make your own postcards. You can ask your students to get out of their houses, go out into the city, into the nature, into the neighborhoods, look around and take pictures of what they see. You can pick a theme for them. It can be borders, it can be anything else, and ask them to write a little description and see how they see the world around them. If you do have a selection of pictures, photographies that you want to discuss with your students, maybe it would be also a good idea to ask them to write a little description of the photos that you have for them. It doesn't have to be an alternative text. It can be a little storytelling as well, what they see on the pictures, what emotions and impressions they have on them. And then you can ask them to mix the descriptions and the photos so that only the person who wrote the description knows which photo they were writing about. I think it can be a great way to discuss different points of view and how we see, how differently we see the same image. It sparked quite an interesting discussion and conversations in our summer school. And it was also quite fun to match the descriptions to the photos that, you know, it all fit in the end, but it wasn't right. So it might be also a fun thing to do for your students. Another idea on another slide, thank you, Ola, would be to have a little game of call out. This is something that you can do with Dixit cards as well, but if you are working with photographies, then use them in this as well. So the idea is to have the collection of your photographies spread around on the floor or on the table, and ask your students to pick, but not pick up, one photo and then tell in turns one word that they would use to describe the photo, and then the rest has to guess what photo is their chosen one. And what we've also done during the summer school is that we did a little, or we asked the participants rather, to do a little exhibition of the photos that they took. So in total there were 15 participants, so we had 15 different pictures of borders, and we asked them to imagine that they are curators in an art gallery. And we divided the space into 2 different rooms. It can also be fun to create those imaginary rooms in your classrooms. And we asked them to look at their collections of the pictures that they had and to try to tell a story, try to imagine that they are the art gallery owners and they need to make an exhibition and they have to tell a story. So divide the pictures between the 2 rooms that they had. They had to come up with the title for every room and explain how the pictures tell the story. These are a few of the ideas of what that we had during the summer school. So if any of you would like to steal them, that's you have our blessings basically to do that. And I also wanted to say that the postcards that the participants made, so the pictures and the descriptions and the photos and the questions that are meant to spark a discussion on borders, whether that's in border regions or borders that are in our everyday life, will be available on High Story as well quite soon. So if you are interested in it, then sign up to the newsletter to get the information. Thank you very much for all of your ideas of how you're using photos, whether that's as a part of introduction to the topic, or how to start a conversation, and as a visual evidence of the content. With historical photos, that's of course a great way to introduce the topic. I also wanted to say that photos, even if they're not a part of the topic directly or literally, can be a great way to integrate your group, or to do a little icebreaker at the beginning of the class as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Anya. Thank you, Anya, very much. I think the resources I wanted to show you, I'm going to send it over an email because we ran out of time a little bit. And I want to give the floor to Martin for a couple of minutes now, just to say hi and to invite you for our next webinar. Martin, are you there?
Hear me? Yes.
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yes, and just a minute. You should be able to see me as well.
Hi.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Martin Klimza. I'm a lecturer at the Museum of Victims of Communism in Košice in Slovakia. And yes, so in 2 weeks' time, there will be the 21st of October. I will be presenting about the power of samizdats and the samizdat publishing in Slovakia, but also internationally. So we will be dealing with illegal publishings that were happening during this time, during the communist era, of course. And we will also be dealing specifically with different types of samizdats. We will be dealing with basically lots of different things. We will be talking about how to implement it in a classroom, since I'm also doing workshops in the museum, so I have some experience with dealing with actual high school students and with this particular topic. So let's say how to adapt it to different age groups, what pitfalls to avoid, and also how to use maybe some interdisciplinarity, because it might seem that it's just for literature, but there's also a huge amount of history in it. There's a huge amount, maybe even religious studies. And also, basically, it meant a lot for the people who were in the opposition. And so what it actually meant for their, civics, for example, or for their ordinary life. It was part of their ordinary life. So all of that we'll be talking about. I will show you some examples of these samizdats. I will also show you how different countries wrote about different events, whether they were censored or uncensored. So there'll be a lot of things, and there'll be also some teaching resources connected to it. So you're welcome to join.
Thank you, Martin, very much. Majola sent you a link to like all the webinars we've got this year, and I've sent a link for Martin's webinar, so thank you, and you're invited. Yeah, and maybe Jan, would you like to maybe wrap it up and add like a short outro for us today?
Yeah, I saw a question about what makes a photo beautiful. And I think it's maybe also a quite important subject. I encourage you to have a look at photographs taken by James Nachtwey, an American photographer. And well, these pictures are beautiful. However, he photographs war, and it's a strange aspect, a paradox. I feel strange in a way when I look at such a photography of Nachtwey or Sebastião Salgado, Brazilian photographer, that these are beautiful pictures. They have a perfect composition, the perfect light. Everything is perfect. So we might say that war is photogenic. The photography of war might be beautiful. And this is a paradox. I think that what really makes a photograph beautiful is when a photograph makes you feel something, that you feel certain emotions, that you feel joy, that you feel grief, that you feel nostalgia, that you're happy or sad. That this is the way to communicate with the viewer, and I would like to believe that that kind of photography makes sense, and maybe in minor situations it can really change something.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a really good summary for the webinar. Thank you very much, Jan.
Thank you. It was a great pleasure and honor. Thank you for inviting me.
For really inspiring presentation. Thank you very much, Anya and Martin, for presenting. Thank you, Mariola, and thank you that you decided to spend this time with us, and you decided that you want to hear more about that, and it seemed interesting for you. And we waiting also for your feedback, and I'm gonna send you over email presentation and like everything we didn't mention also during the webinar, and hope to see you again on the 21st of October. Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
Ja, iets maar.